Welcome to the latest edition of Lunchtime Learning. I'm delighted to be joined today by Mike Dingley, who's Company Director of Black and Gold Estate Agents in Solihull. Is that right? Got
That's
the right
right.
one? Got the right Mike Dingley today?
The right Mike Dingley, that's right now, yeah, over in Solihull.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for joining me. Really, really grateful.
No, it's very flattering. No, very pleased to be on.
I've heard some good things about you and your vanmobile driving around Solihull.
Until it blows up, it's very popular. Until it breaks down on the M42, we're good, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll chat about that in a bit. But tell us, how did you get into agency? What were you doing before?
Yeah, so I guess a little bit unusual. I didn't have any estate agency background at all. So I came from a construction background. So my father built properties, and we used to do low-level renovations. That was the first kind of into properties. And my day job was a contract manager for a finishing company. So that was basically dealing on sites with, the plasterers, the painters, the finishing trades. And but the real property was when we used to renovate houses, nothing massive, just like low-level 3-bed semis, basically. And the dream was always to have an agency. That then kind of got expedited when I got made redundant very quickly, all of a sudden out of the blue, really. So this kind of idea had to we were thrust into it. So with no real background, no experience, we just set up Black and Golds. Myself and my brother set it up initially because it was silent in the background. And that was, we just kind of went for it, and we started online. But the idea, if I'm honest, was to pick up properties in the background. It wasn't really to grow into what we've grown into. And we did that online initially, and that was the start of Black and Gold. So yeah, it just came to completely raw. That's been some good, some bad, because I don't think we've picked up any bad habits, but that was the background of Black and Golds, basically.
So what did you learn coming in from a cold start? So when you started, it was just you and your brother. How many branches have you got now? How many colleagues have you got working with you?
So we've got, so we started, I mean, when I say it was just me, it was a one-man band entirely. Started from the kitchen of my house. We did that for about 18 months. And then we got a little office up the road where it was $5,000 a year. I had my mom at this point started to come to work for me one or 2 days a week. And we literally had desks around pretending we had loads of staff. So we started at that point to try and get a foothold in the area, and we did. And now we're at the point of, we've got 2 branches now. We've got Shirley and Withall. And yeah, we've got 10. I've got 10 staff with us, and then we've got obviously Black and Gold's mortgages as well, which we have two mortgage brokers working with us as well. So yeah, it's grown into a relatively decent sized entity at the minute, and now I'm enjoying it.
Brilliant, congratulations. So you talked about getting that foothold in the area. For people that are watching this that are just starting, what can you share about finding that foothold?
Yeah, I found it came in 2 waves. I think initially, regardless of what you do, it's very cliche, but it's the boring consistency is the thing. You have to be dripping in the background continuously all the time. And I think you have to accept for the first 2 years, you're not going to do massive amounts. I mean, some people do come in and just storm it, but I wasn't intelligent enough to do that. But I found that the easiest way was just to kind of be in that background and just be there working away and just consistently do the same thing every single day. We then found the big jump. That kind of got us to a point. We found the big jump up then. It was a different time then. We've been in business 11 years. Now video content is a lot more, and putting yourself out there is a lot more. When we first started it wasn't the done thing. So it was even more intimidating to do. But that was the big thing. Putting ourselves out there was the main thing, and just sitting with it and being able to put yourself out and be authentic. I think there's a lot now. Video content, like I say, is a bigger thing, isn't it? But I think the authenticity of people comes through eventually, and I think that's the main thing. Just get comfortable with putting yourself out there as much as you can, because that's the window to your company.
100%. And actually, I love your Meet the Team YouTube video. Normally it will be, really nice, polished. And it was great because actually that most probably showed your true self. and then for people that are expecting to look at it thinking, hold on a second, what's all this
Yeah.
about? But
Yeah.
it was great. It's great. And it's different. And you've got me talking about it. So
Yeah.
there's going to be people now going on your website, and then they're going to, and then you've got your little, I'm sure Facebook pixel is going to pick them up. And now everyone, you go on Mike's website, that's it. You're never going to hear, you're never going to stop every property in Shirley and Solihull you're going to see.
That's good.
So you talked there about getting comfortable or getting uncomfortable. A lot of people do actually really struggle with video, with content. How do you advise people just to get going?
Yeah, it's finding your own. I think it's being comfortable with not particularly being liked. I know that's a weird thing to say. That the first hurdle is, again, just putting yourself out there. Then the next bit is accepting that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I accept I'm certainly not everyone's cup of tea. But that doesn't really mean people are not going to use you as an agent, because the end goal is not particularly to get loads of views or to be really popular. It's to get people to sell the house with you, and that's what we're looking to do as an estate agent. That doesn't particularly mean people have to like you to do that. I know that's a strange thing to say, but they want, sometimes as an estate agent, they need to use someone they know is passionate about the property at that particular time. I liken it a little bit to, say if you're at the airport and you see kind of the pilot walk past you, you want your pilot to look very buttoned up, very serious, striding through. Not probably the type of guy you particularly want to go for a beer with at any point, but you want him to fly you over the ocean. And I liken it to that. They don't particularly have to like everything about you. And I know that sometimes when I'm sat in the front room selling, I can tell these people are finding me a bit irritating, but I'm talking passionate about the property. I am passionate about the property. It's the only thing I'm good at. And I think that's quite important, just to get comfortable with that, being that person for them. And I think if you can do that and get that across authentically, I think that's the secret, basically.
So where's that passion come from, Mike?
The passion, like I say, it was early for my dad. My dad has just been, my dad's always been around property, and he's always been doing properties up and doing things like that. So I've always been around that. I like having, there's no doubt, I like having my own business. I enjoy the whole, people say, yeah, you've got to have some downtime, you've got to have this. I enjoy the whole thrust of it. It's my little computer game. If I enjoy that, I think about it. As soon as I wake up, I go to sleep, and I'm probably a very boring person to be around, but I enjoy it. And I think if you can find something that lights up like that, that's what I enjoy about it. I enjoy the whole cut and thrust of, the never-ending kind of trying to improve it as well. You're never going to be finished as an estate agent. You've never cracked it. As there is always bits that we can get better and better and better. And I enjoy just always trying to improve, whether that's the marketing or that's the sales progression, or that is, growing in different departments. There's always something to do, and I enjoy that. And with property, it's so vast. Everyone, well, not everyone, a lot of people are interested in properties. You've always got some way to go off on it, and that's what I enjoy about it, certainly.
Okay, so twice you said you're boring, which is great, but you said you're boringly consistent. So what does boringly consistent look like to you?
Boringly consistent is doing the exact same thing every single day. So it's relentlessly watching the property market locally. I had some advice when I started from another agent, and they said, just stay local to where you are initially. Don't try and go running around and try and sell properties all over the place. Just stay local and become an expert. And I've done that, and not, again, by being particularly intelligent or clever. It's just by every single day knowing every single property that comes on in the area. That's the first thing I do in the morning to the last thing I do at night. Sometimes just to see if I've lost a valuation. Sometimes to see, what I can go after. But most of the time, it's just more be curious to seeing that, the little markings, about 6 postcodes that we operate around heavily, and just in that. So every single day, I'm across every single. So there can't be a property that comes on I don't know about. I just know about every single property, and that's the starting point. And then it's just the same. Again, our social media is not particularly clever. I believe it's authentic. Again, I'm not a huge fan of. I know there's more and more, coaches for estate agents that are trying to teach agents to give content. I think it's starting to become a little bit white noise to people. I think that people have to find an authentic way of doing it. Around by us, there are 4 agents around by us who are doing the same property market update every single week, and the same approaching rental property and say this is the yield it gets. It's clearly been fed to them from an exterior source, and they say this is what to do. I think you've got to find your own voice, and I think that's very important, to find your own voice, do the same thing again. So that's all we do. We do the same type of thing, that we do pivot on, and we do evolve as we go. Like I said, you just talked about our Meet the Team, and we're about to refilm that, believe it or not. In the next few weeks, we're going to redo a version of that again. And it's just doing the same, doing the same things again and again and again. So in the background, people know you are the brand to sell their house with. Okay.
How do you go out and find your own voice, though?
It's hard. Everyone is different. Again, it's about not copying others. I think early days, I tried to be lots of different versions of people I'd seen online, or local, agents, you call little local celebrities who had the bigger agencies. And I tried to become a mini version of them. And there's certain areas around here, I probably won't say it on here because I don't want to not work there, but my face just doesn't fit. I go in and I just know I'm not going to do particularly well. We have accepting that is important, and accepting you've got a niche you're going to work with. And that's been a big thing for us. And that's helped me find my voice in those areas, and then take a view on the other areas and say, okay, if there's a certain, if I'm honest, to the higher end of the market with us, I haven't been particularly successful with winning valuations. We brought someone in 3 years ago to do that end of the market. He's absolutely smashed it because his face fits that. And that I believe that's because that lights him up. He's authentically interested in that end of the market, whereas I'm probably not. I prefer, the lower end renovation types and properties that I've always been around. That's what's kind of lit me up. And I think you've got to find what genuinely likes, because I think people see through it. Otherwise, they can tell if you're genuinely passionate about something when you walk in. I've faked it in the past, and I've gone in and pretended this, a certain type of property has been my bag, and it hasn't. And I think people see through you very, very quickly.
I think there's two really important points that have come out of that. Firstly, you mentioned one word, acceptance. And I think that's a massive, massive word. And I know, going back to my Green & Co days, and I still have this, but I have really high expectations and standards of all my colleagues.
Yeah.
And they didn't have those same expectations as I had. And I tell you what, I found it bloody hard, really, really hard. And then I got told that word, acceptance. And ever since then, it made such a massive difference. I've got to accept that people, they have their own reasons why they don't have the same high standards as me, and that's absolutely fine. But once I accepted that, I was more relaxed, a lot calmer, and it made a massive difference. And I think the second thing that you said there, and I think it's a really interesting point, is playing to your strengths. You getting somebody in to take that high-end market, and also you acknowledging, and I think that's a big thing and a great thing as a leader, to acknowledge, actually, maybe there's somebody out there that's better than me. And go and take that end of the market. So that's quite a brave decision to reach.
Yeah, it was important for us. We've done it across. I'm probably going to sound not good at any of my business here, because we did a similar thing with lettings. We again, it wasn't particularly my strength, and so we brought in someone who was excellent at it, and that was good for us. So yeah, it's about finding people that are probably better than you at everything, really, and that's I believe that our sales progression team are better than me at sales progression. I believe that our listers are better than me at the listing the property. So it's really about accepting and finding the best people around to do that. It is hard, though. I've found it very, very hard. Recruitment has been a tough thing in estate. I don't know how you have experienced in the past, but it's the toughest part for me.
It is. I mean, we always had a continuous recruitment policy. So, we just wanted, we would interview everybody. So any CVs that came in, we would constantly see them, and we would find a desk for them. So in fact, I remember we took somebody on, and actually we didn't have a desk for him, and literally he was just desk hopping the whole time in order to do that. But if that person was great, wonderful, fantastic, and was going to make a difference, then we wanted him and didn't want our competitors taking him. But so how did you go out and then recruit? Obviously you said you started by yourself in your bedroom.
We started. Myself, my mom came to work for me. Then my sister-in-law came to work for me. We then we delved heavily into the apprenticeship world early on, and that was good. We had an apprentice join us. Alex joined us early on, and that was good. We recruit from outside the industry massively. We did a lot of apprenticeships. That's what we did, and we kind of, because we had quite a different way of doing things at that point because of our background. No one really knew us in the world of estate agency anyway. I didn't really know anyone, so I had no network. No one knew about me at all. So we recruit from outside. We brought people and trained them in the way that we wanted to. Rightly or wrongly, that's kind of a lot of those people. I mean, Zoe, who's still with me, has been with me 8 years now. Laura's longer. There's a lot of people who've been with me a long time. And I think they've, rather than kind of read about how to be an estate agent, because they weren't an estate agent before, they've experienced it. They've certainly fell flat in the face early on, but they've got authentic kind of experience about where they've fell on the face, they've failed, they've done well, they've done badly, rather than kind of reading about how to be an estate agent or learning it from a gaffer before. They've experienced it, because I've thrown people in the deep end, and some people have failed and some people have absolutely come out gleaming, and the people we have around who have stayed with us have done that and can genuinely talk in any level of room about property, which I like. It's people that work for me in their early 20s that could hold their own in any room across the country talking about property, and I'm proud of that, and that's what I like about that. That's what I find important about what we've done here.
So how do you get them trained and then develop them for them to learn all of that?
There's no manual. Again, we're a tight knit team here, so we've just put them in and got them started early on, and again, letting them find their voice. Everyone has a different voice on the phone to the customers across everything. They've got to find their own tone, and there's no point in them being a miniature version of Mike. They've got to kind of be their own version again, and just letting them do that. Letting people fail is massively important, and not battering them when they do that. I think letting people fail is huge, and taking away that fear that there is consequences. There's someone who messes up, because there's so much on the line with property. But if it's a genuine mistake, there's no problem here. We can fix most things here. I've never found a problem that we can't fix. And just let people have don't let them be, blasé about things, but certainly get rid of the fear about failure. I think that's quite important.
Yeah, no, I think that's the big thing. So what lessons have you learned from failure, first attempt in learning?
It doesn't matter that much. Failure doesn't matter. I've fell flat on my face loads of times in front of everyone, and it doesn't mean it's soon forgotten. You just got to get up and, talking about, just learning from people. It's something my dad always told me. It was simply just, it doesn't matter what anyone, my dad doesn't care about what he will go out dressed in any, he doesn't give one. And I've always been a lot more self-aware than my dad, but I've always kind of been in awe of the way he didn't care. He would be in a room of fast builders, he wouldn't care. He'd be in a room of, CEOs, he wouldn't care. He would just be himself. And I think failure doesn't matter, and failing in front of people simply doesn't matter, because it's such a sure, it's soon forgotten. Those, you only have to look to the sports worlds of these athletes who we put up on a pedestal, and 1 minute they're the greatest thing ever, the next they're absolutely useless because they failed, and the next a year later they're back on top. It doesn't, that short term just doesn't matter, and it's what makes me say is when you see people that genuinely are staying that safe zone the whole life. They've got a big opinion about people in a lot, but from the sidelines. And I think you haven't got to worry too much about people like that. I think, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter.
No, totally agree. So you've got in-house mortgage brokers. You said you got a couple.
Yeah.
What made you decide to go down that route, and how have you found that's benefited the business?
We again, I was only talking to one of the guys here. We didn't send our mortgage work anywhere for the first 9.5 years of business. We just left it go, because I was really honed in on getting the brand correct. So we left an incredible amount of money on the table, and it still makes me a little bit uncomfortable today. But it was, it was right for me at that time, because I had my attention elsewhere. It's really cleaned up the whole the whole, financial verification of people has really, it's cleaned up things massively, and just our fall through rates fell through the floor. It's so much cleaner. And again, it's learning from what you don't know. I've been in the business 11 years and I still don't, I'm still learning every single year. And, up until, like I said, 2 years ago, we weren't doing any, we weren't doing anything in the same. I mean, we are aggressively financially verifying now, and I think it's really, really important. And we've found that the fall through rate has massively improved because of that, because we're dealing with the right people. And sometimes those people don't know they're not in a position to do it. Some people come in it a little bit sneakily, but some people come in it with a pure heart, but they don't know what they can and can't borrow. And that's been quite eye-opening for us, and it's just been a huge improvement for us. We're still getting used to it. We're still, I'm still trying to teach our staff, I'm not the mortgage lad, about, the correct way. But yeah, we're still a learning curve, certainly, but it's, every single, that's what excites me. It's continually getting better with stuff.
So you talk about constant learning, and every day's a learning day for you, and definitely for me. So what can you share with people out there? What are you learning?
The one thing in a state agency, I think the one thing that, if you look at marketing, is easy, in my opinion, because now it's been made even easier because of the use of professional videos and professional photos. Sales progression, in my opinion, once you learn the art of it, is easy. It's a constant that is, there's always going to be a problem, otherwise it wouldn't be a sales progression department. It's learning how to keep vendors who are on the market happy. And I haven't got the answer for you still. It's still learning how to, communicate enough to them in a way that isn't just telling them bad news continuously being, creative for them. But sometimes it's about being brutal and just, but it's learning that's the part of the state agency that I still have to master, I think, and that's what I'm enjoying, and that's what I'm still learning, I think. And when I find out, I'll tell you, because I don't know.
Fair enough. And where do you go to self-improve and learn and develop from?
What do I do? I do listen to podcasts. It's a lot of, believe it or not, I'm quite a big boxing fan. I enjoy boxing, and I'm a big Eddie Hearn fanboy. So I listen to a lot of, the way he talks, not particularly about boxing, when his discussions around business and around the way he's in. But you look at someone like that who is about as successful as a human being can get, and he's still improving. I mean, he's just on a fitness journey at the minute, and it's amazing to see, someone at that level who is always trying to self-improve. He talks about consistency and relentlessness, and that's certainly somewhere I go quite a lot. So figures like that, really, I enjoy, seeing people who on appearance are the perfect, they've finished it, they've completed the game, and they're still trying to kind of, tweak things. And that's where I kind of go and gain inspiration from people like that.
Good. Well, that book, Relentless, was very good. So it's definitely definitely well worth a read if people watching or listening to this haven't read it. It's a good book. So apart from Eddie Hearn and your dad, who else inspires you, Mike?
Oh dear, they're the two people, to be honest. Who else? Can I say you? Is that too cheesy? I do enjoy your stuff, Steve.
That's way too cheesy, but yeah,
way too cheesy. I've enjoyed, like I say, I enjoy again. I keep saying boring. I'm big on all the estate agent forums. I watch. I don't particularly get massively involved with those estate agent forums, but there's people. That's my world. That's the only thing I'm particularly interested in is property. So I do watch all those back and forths at a distance and enjoy all the spats and this and that, and just watching, getting ideas from people. I enjoy that little world. That's my world, and that's what I plug into every single day. I'm always watching, like, some weirdo from a distance, and I don't particularly kind of interject that much, but I do, that's where I kind of, I take a lot of kind of, ideas from, and yeah, that's it really.
Okay, so it's great that you get all the ideas.
Yeah.
Most people don't take the action. So how are you taking action and implementing stuff and getting your colleagues to do it as well?
Yeah, it takes me a long time. Once an idea is kind of festering, it takes me a long time to go, I'll talk about it for a long time. Like you touched on the van idea, that kind of festered for a long time because I'd seen people toy with the thought of it. And it was something I talked about for ages and ages and ages. And then I will just all of a sudden do it again. We rebranded It's something that kind of ruminates for a long time. I'm not particularly good at taking quick action, but when I do, then it's all out. It's just drop everything. Like I say, we decided to rebrand last year, and it went from an idea. Our videographer reached out to me and said, have you ever thought about redoing the logo, because it looks a bit dated? And we had talked about it quite a lot. We had someone join us for lettings who said, you've got to change the logo. And then all of a sudden it went from kind of that conversation to, right, building company in, rip the office out, redo the office, redo the logos, redo the boards, redo the van, redo everything, and the website. And so, yeah, once I'm in, it's all in. I just destroy everything, go. But yeah, it normally ruminates for a long time, and I'm not sure if that's a strength or weakness, because sometimes that can delay things, but sometimes I think you do bottom out thoughts and things that if you go two-footed into it, you can end up making errors.
No, look, and I think it's a good thing with what you're saying, because a lot of people are thinking, well, hold on a second, all we do is see this one picture of somebody that gets it done. Yeah. Whereas actually the realism is you're not standing outside a home that's not your home, or you're not standing outside, you're standing outside a garage with a nice Ferrari and it's not your Ferrari. So no, you're being, you're painting the right sort of picture. Definitely.
It's good.
So if people want to get hold of you, Mike, how do they do that?
Yeah, the main place we use, again, we're big on Instagram. Obviously, the Black and Golds page, or Mr. Black and Golds on Instagram, is our most followed page, which gives a little bit of insight into, again, my life, but also, my property kind of world. I will put as much on that page as we possibly can. Again, I like to be transparent to let people see a proper version of, the people behind the brands. And yeah, obviously then our website, Facebook, the normal forums for Black and Golds.
Okay, then one final question as you put it in there. So Instagram, why are you relying on Instagram? I know you're not just relying on it.
Yeah.
How do people go and build that? Because what's interesting for me is, I would say I'm relatively new to Instagram, and over the course of the last 6 weeks, been putting a few reels up from my training. And I'm really surprised at the amount of followers that are coming every day from that. I've got no understanding why.
But I don't know what you're doing. Nor do I.
but it's growing. So for people watching this, how can you build your Instagram profile?
Yeah, again, it's certainly that there is algorithms that, again, is above my pay. I don't know what on earth, but we put a lot of reels out. We try to do a lot of, again, people talk about giving, content and value. It's about putting stuff out there that isn't particularly the same thing. Don't just copy. Don't do welcome to so-and-so Bill's Lane. This is the property. Do something that's going to hook people in the first 4 or 5 seconds. From morbid curiosity, people will then watch and then take an interest in you. Even if it's not the right type of interest, you're getting those eyes and getting that kind of audience, and genuinely then building a little community that's, it sounds a bit egotistical, half interested in what you're doing. And that's where we found, we found that my personal page ended up getting a lot more kind of traction, a lot more of contacts that end up selling property or developments with us have contacted us via that, because that's a little bit more interesting than just property tour. And so we found that being interesting. So try and get your own, and I know it's bands around all the time, personal brand out there, but just get it out there. I think that's very important.
Brilliant. Well, I'm incredibly grateful for your time. So thank you very much. So for everybody watching this, thank you as well. Thank you for watching and listening. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Mike, thanks for being a great guest.
Thanks, Steve.